You know what I'm saying? Yeah, 4,000 versus like.
What's happening? Are we live? We live on this thing. You know what I'm saying? What's up? Let me make sure I'm good. Let's see. That sounded good and everything was cool? All right, cool. What's happening, everybody? It's your man, Mr. Allen, Mr. LP, Clear Visions Podcast, the series, the skin that I'm in. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you share. We real quick, we're doing these series where we have conversations. This is like the second one. Shouts out to Hendrix Monet for kicking it off on the first one that she did. If you want to go back and look at the playback of the video and listen to the audio, go to mpn-llc.com and hit her page, Shit Talk No Fragrance. Make sure you follow her on Facebook. Yeah.
That's live.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
That's live.
Yeah, so shouts out to Hendrix Monet on that and for letting us use the word, use the title for the series and whatnot. So, of course, it's obvious with the title, the skin I'm in. Y'all already know what the climate is and stuff like that. So I just felt like it's doing my due diligence to like open up the platform and let my peoples talk. So we've had preteens that came in here the first time. Now we have young adults. I was saying teenagers, but I felt like I would have got slapped in the face by one of them. So I was like, let me check myself. You know what I'm saying? I was like, let me check myself. These guys are young adults and whatnot. So, and yeah. So first off, we have Mr. Zachary. We have Ashy, Artt,
yes, sir.
And we have Mr. Chris.
Yes, sir.
And also we have ChristinaCurates in the house. She's going to be co-narrating this thing with me. You know, I try to stay in the back burner, but I always get pushed to the front. But nevertheless, we appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you.
So how y'all feeling? Y'all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Glad to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Word, man. I'm happy y'all here, man, cause I want to this conversation that we having, man. It's good to have it with young black men. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure, I know y'all had these conversations with y'all friends, and I mean even before this, you was having it with ChristinaCurates, and obviously these conversations are needed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like when we had these conversations, it'd be a lot more understanding. I'm real big on education on that part. I know a lot of people are like on this. I don't want to educate nobody no more because this and the third. But a lot of people are like coming from a good place. So I feel like when they're coming from that good place, they're allotted to get the education if they need it. Okay. Regardless if it's man or woman. So that's why I stand out on that. So
right.
That's where we at. So
you want to go ahead and start with introduce yourself?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Do the introductions.
Oh yeah, no doubt. All right. So greetings everyone. I am Zachary Chandler Bell, rising second year business administration student from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm currently serving at SGA at FAMU in the Judicial and Rules Committee. So I do a lot of things when it comes down to talking about issues and whatnot around the school, and going to the Capitol and whatnot, trying to lobby to legislators, trying to make change for our people.
Word.
Yes, sir. Well, what's up, y'all? My name is Ashy Artt. I'm an artist, photographer, all of that. And currently, I graduated from Douglas Anderson School of Arts, also in Jacksonville, Florida. Right. And I'm planning to attend Temple University in fall.
Good.
Greetings, I am Christopher Allen, a second-year pre-physical therapy scholar from Jacksonville, Florida. I attend Florida A&M, and I serve as the Secretary of Academic Affairs in SGA.
Yeah. And I am ChristinaCurates. That is me.
That is you?
That is who I am.
She-
Yes.
She
I
is I and I am
yes.
in her. Yeah. So, yeah. So again, to my people that's watching, make sure just share it. Make sure you go to mpn-lc.com. Yeah, I'm not going. I was about to say. I was about to go into like some other stuff, but y'all don't know. Y'all don't need to know the technical stuff, man. We rolling. We cool. We good.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. So ChristinaCurates, I'm going to throw this back on you.
Okay.
So let's
Go ahead
start off the
I
questions.
have a
yeah.
couple of questions. I got a few of the questions from a few of my good friends, Leon McCants and Michael Stewart, and a couple of other places that I wanted to kind of just start a conversation with the young men about just things that are going on in the world and the community. But one question, of course, since my name is ChristinaCurates, what are your thoughts on J. Cole's new song, Snow in the...
Snow on the bluff, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on his new song? You can go ahead and start, Christopher, if you...
All right. I saw a quote. I found a quote in the song. It says, "I look at freedom like trees. You can't grow a forest overnight."
What quote is that from?
It's from the song itself. I really think that the quote means like, we can protest, but these protests, it's not the beginning or the end. We have to keep going. This is a thing that's gonna take time, and we have to keep pushing.
Okay. Larry, what are your thoughts on
For me, on the song, I hear what Cole is saying. In so many words, he says like you can attract flies with honey better than you can with vinegar. But at the same time, in my opinion, this was not the time to put this out here. Like looking at the situation that we're in and like how much black women have been assaulted and murdered. Look at Breonna Taylor and even the recent, what was the girl name? Toyin. Yeah.
Toyin.
Even looking at her, like, and black women, they need our support right now. Like, and to put out a criticism, which true or not, whether you disagree with it or not, I just believe that the timing was off, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with both of you wholeheartedly. I would say that I think J. Cole, he came from a place of wanting to speak how he felt about things, but I don't think that it was really the time. And so, when he said that, what was it in that song? What was the quote? He said something about your tone. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he was talking about the tone.
Yeah.
Yes, he said that her tone was upsetting him. But I actually feel like, a lot of times black women's tone, they need to. I think that he thought that she was like too abrasive, too out there. Right. But I think that she's doing that out of passion, not out of
anger.
Out of anger. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So it's good comments. Good comments about the. It was heavy. A lot of different perspectives. LP, what did you think about it? Or
the song, I definitely agree with the timing part. A couple of people were saying that the timing part was they made light mentions of the timing. I feel like that's the only thing that was a problem, the timing or whatever. But with this type of conversation that we having, like, is there really a time for it? Like, and I feel like a lot of these conversations that we're having, there is no like really a good time to talk about it. It's one of those conversations that are like ugly. This is gonna be one of them ugly conversations that we gonna have. In regards to what he was saying, I do feel like he could have picked up the phone and called her versus made a song. But even in the song, that might be the way that he expressed himself. So we have to like respect that in regards to how people express their feelings, especially when it comes to a lot of people say about the women, the tone or whatever. That's his form of tone. You know what I'm saying? And we had to respect that or whatnot. And even with his tone, he was coming from a cool place. Like he was like, look, man, like I don't know everything. I'm like he was really like stripping himself down on some like I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like show me, teach me, educate me. Right. So and that's when I said that earlier before we started. I'm like, if somebody asking you to educate them on something, and it's coming from a pure place, I feel like you're allotted to give that person the education needed.
I think that at the end, I think it's very obvious that we as black men and women need to sit down and have conversations so that we can better understand each other. where things won't get out of hand, where her tone is this way and his tone is that way. I think it definitely is a place for dialogue, and that's for all great levels, all ages, starting from teenage to adult.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So let's see, I have this one is going to be a little heavy. What is your understanding of justice, and what actions do you feel you need to take to obtain it?
Okay. My understanding of justice is, I think, is just consequences for just actions. So when I think about justice, as far as like with our legal system, a lot of times it's not really there, because things like your color, things like your age, where you say your socioeconomic status, those all come to play. But in reality, I feel as if judges or jurors, they shouldn't have to take any of those things into account, which as people, we
You do.
nature, you automatically do it.
Right.
But unfortunately, us Black Americans, we fall on the short end of the stick when it comes to things like that. And I kind of saw on Twitter like a black male and a white male doing the same exact crime.
Right.
Yeah.
And the black male
Mhm.
gets sentenced to what? 26
26
years.
You see it a lot.
26
Yeah.
years. And another guy gets 2 years in a county penitentiary. Like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Personally, I agree with what you said wholeheartedly. I think for me, you can just look at justice like it's a big. You can't just look at it just one whole thing. You got to break it up. So for me, I think the short term justice for now is, of course, we need to convict these cops
Right.
who have done these things like Breonna Taylor's killers. We need to still need to convict George Floyd killers, and so on and so on. There's many names.
Right.
But I think long term, I think we need the dismantling and kind of like rebuild and reboot of the law force, the judicial system, because we know that's corrupt. You know what I'm saying? So I think those are the long term
Right.
Okay.
to achieve justice.
I agree with both of you all. I think justice is something that should be done equally for all races. I think that the system from the start has been against us this whole time.
Yeah.
I think that we just have to get like political representation in our communities for us to even change the justice system itself. So
Exactly.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's hard. I think it's hard to change something that was built against you from the start. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you really gotta go down to the roots. And so I think that's why when it comes down to how would we attain justice, that's why we're doing the protests. That's why we're going to the Capitol. That's why we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. That's why we're doing podcasts talking about how we upset and that
Right.
somebody needs to do something about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good starting point.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
speaking of the protests, I know you guys recently attended the protest in Jacksonville. That was your first time doing something like that. Could you speak a little bit about that and how you felt in that
Honestly,
experience?
it was kind of nostalgic. Just being at the protest, we first started walking and seeing all those people like chanting and doing different speeches and stuff like that. It was nostalgic just because, like, I know our grandmothers. They went to protest, and we're doing the same thing 50 years later, like almost as if nothing changed. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it was kind of crazy once again, like nostalgic.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was in a way it was sad, just being real, because I saw a 74-year-old grandmother, out there, and having to kind of have a conversation with her, and the fact that she's like, okay, I'm having to do this again. You know what I'm saying? But this time it's not for me, it's for my grandkids,
Right.
and for their kids and whatnot. And then again, at the same time, it was kind of surreal seeing that white kids and black kids, Latinos, a lot of different people coming together, for the good of black people. And so, it's encouraging. It is really encouraging that it's people out there that care about us and that they want to see change. And at the same time, I think it's kind of sad that it's come down so many different generations that, if I think that my grandparents, they taught me about how things were back in the day. So what's stopping, a white person's grandparents from doing the same thing? But this way, saying this is not how we do things.
Right.
So that
Changing
people in
the
our
culture.
generation aren't lost about it. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So, another question is kind of deep, but your answers doesn't matter how you answer it. What are your fears in this present moment?
I think I'll start off this one. I think that like
Hey, hold on real quick. I love the fact I love the fact when they do that. It's like, okay. All right, girl. I'm
So
sorry.
we're processing. We gotta process
You're
it.
processing
in.
it.
We gotta process it in like that.
I think that like as black men, we share a lot of the same fears, the same general fears, of the are we gonna get shot? Are we gonna get pulled over? Is this gonna be the last time we see our friends, our family, etc. And I think I also have like fears of like, okay, is it still like Chris mentioned he was like our grandma she did protests back in her day, like she did sit-ins. So it's like, will my grandchildren have to go through the same stuff that we doing right now? So it's like, is that fear too?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
on top of fears of just being a 19, 18-year-old and you're both of you have already transitioned from high school to college, and now you're about to transition from high school to college. So you're talking about just normal fears that any 18 or 19-year-old have.
Right.
Then you bring in these other fears. But yeah, that's. Go ahead, whoever else.
I think honestly, like he said, just the generational fact of even our grandkids might actually go through the same thing if we don't make a change now. It's kind of overwhelming to think about it. Like, I kind of honestly call it like the 19 syndrome, because when you like growing up, about Rosa Parks and things like that. But like when we got to college, it kind of hit like we actually might get pulled over and shot by the cops. It's kind of a scary thing to even think about or even fathom that we might have kids, and the same thing could happen to them.
And I think it's kind of crazy living in Jacksonville and attending FAMU and coming home from for Christmas break, and a student from FAMU, Jamie Johnson, being killed by JSO, coming home late night. Like, that could have been me.
Yeah.
We're home from school, not really worried about things, glad about a break from our classwork and whatnot, and then a student losing his life to the police. And so, that's kind of hard to fathom, especially, when I have an older brother and I also have a younger brother. And it's the fact that, my younger brother's still in high school here, about to get his driver's license and stuff like that. So, now he's a new target.
Right.
Right.
Have you, I know, we have had conversations about every time you leave the house, as always, be safe, be careful. But you've had these conversations with your parents in terms of like things that you need to do if you were to get pulled over. You've had those, and is that, is it scary or is it just reality? Right.
I mean, it's reality, but at the same time, it's like I'm just like, dang, like I really, because sometimes I like to, sometimes I have a little temper or whatever, right? So it's like I shouldn't have to like not bow down, but I shouldn't have to like be extra precautious talking to a police officer. You get what I'm saying? Like, I should be able to say, okay, yes sir, da da da. They shouldn't be like, okay, yes, I'm pulling out my wallet. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
and seeing on Twitter when people record themselves being pulled over, and they're not necessarily black, and they're asking the police officer, why are you pulling me over? Why are you doing this? And I know that I cannot do anything like that. I cannot ask them anything. They're like, okay, why are you hostile? Why are you doing this? And then next thing I'm being asked to get out the car and things like that. And it's really crazy that we have to even deal with something like that.
Right. That's true. So what's interesting also is my grandfather, Edward Hickson, was one of the first black police officers in Jacksonville, and my father, Anthony Hickson Sr., was also a police officer. So in terms of having that trust from police officers, I mean, we've had it. They've had that trust because it's a part of their family. We have family members now that are current police officers for JSO. So I think that it's kind of, I'm not gonna say it's confusing, but it's kind of like, okay, I know of good people. There are some good police officers. We know some personally. And then there's some that just, for whatever reason, see you in a different light. I know that that's probably a tough spot to be in when you are approached by a police officer, say in a car or whatever. So, do you have any thoughts on that, or have you thought about it like that yet, or have you hadn't even taken consideration of your?
Honestly, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about it either, though.
Well, it's something to think about because. We talk about police officers all the time and how we know that there are so many of them that have not had, I'm not even so training, but have these already preconditioned thoughts about you. And at the same time, there's some that will take care of you,
Right.
and that will make
Yes,
sure
ma'am.
that if you have a flat tire that you're good. So it's kind of like, okay, I just need to, how do I manage my thoughts and keeping it where, let me just make sure I do what I need to do, what I've been taught in terms of, if I get pulled over. It's just interesting, something to think about,
Yes, ma'am.
because you hear it all the time when people say, oh, cops are bad, da da da, but then at the same time, people
That-
personally that are
actually
not,
good.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's some interesting thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found these next set of questions in the there was an article called "Breaking Barriers: Plotting the Path to Success for School-Age African American Males." So I wanted to make sure I quoted that because these are not my questions. How do you feel about the way black men and boys are portrayed in the media?
Okay.
So this
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe media influences the way black males behave? So that's a two-part question.
Right.
So you want me to say the question again? Or you good?
I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashy already has it. Okay.
So personally, I feel like our portrayal in the media, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, because so look. So you get examples, right? Even with more recent stuff, like I don't know if y'all seen on Netflix, A Day in the Night. The boy, his daddy was on drugs, and then he in prison. Now he in prison, finna have a son. You know what I'm saying? And even with Moonlight, even though it was a variation because he was gay, his mama was on crack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the only father figure in the movie was selling his mama to crack. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
Wow.
and even with the older movies too, like The Boys in the Hood, and Minister Society, it's like it's either gang related or drugs or something with having no daddy, and it's just like we rarely get to see just kind of like more normal or just regular
Definitely.
visions or like media portrayal of black life for black men.
That's true.
Black boys.
That's true.
Right.
But
I would definitely say that the media portrays us in a bad way a lot of times. The majority of the time. Even a lot of times something tragic can happen to a African American and they lose their life. And they'll pick the worst picture, the worst picture, and they'll put it on the news.
Yeah.
And instead of portraying them in their graduation cap and gown and something like that.
Or they'll pull up their history of something negative that they did.
Right. And that's really sad because that's something I saw about Ahmaud Arbery, about how he may have gotten in some trouble before. And they tried to pull up and talk about how he was a troublemaker and he did this and that. But that doesn't discredit the fact that he was killed,
Right.
that he was murdered.
Absolutely.
And whether he did those things or not, he was still done wrong.
right.
Right.
And so I do think that the way the media portrays us does influence the way that some African Americans, black males act. And it's kind of sad that someone has to feel as if they have to be hard. They gotta be a thug, or they gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be portrayed as masculine or anything like that.
That's true.
When it comes to media, I see it as in like the people that we listen to in music videos.
True.
People like Youngboy has a lot of YouTube views. People see all these black musicians and different things. They think maybe we gotta act hard, maybe we gotta slang this, that, and third. I think that we have a lack of professionalism in our media as a black community as a whole.
Yeah.
I think that at the college level, we have organizations such as like the Collegiate 100 that we're in. We dress up, different things like that. But if we could possibly get more professionalism, more activism in the black community with our media, I think it could definitely change the way that people see ourselves and see each other.
Yeah.
So,
We need to change the narrative.
yeah.
Change the narrative.
Change the narrative.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Here's one about kind of a personal one. How do you deal with peer pressure? Pressures, for example, that involve drinking, drug use, sex, negatively impact black males. How do you deal with peer pressure as a 19-year-old?
Just being honest, peer pressure is a real thing, and I didn't really fall into peer pressure in high school, but when I got to college, it's a completely different world because you're no longer living underneath your parents' house.
Right.
You're doing what you want, stand out however late you want, things like that. But I feel like you have to know where you come from a lot of times, and you have to remember how you were raised. And so, that's how I've combated a lot of peer pressure and, avoided a lot of situations that I could have ended up getting in trouble or end up getting myself hurt. So a lot of times I always think about my grandma in the back of my head, and how, she wouldn't be approving of the things that I would be doing right there. And a lot of times that'll deter me from doing a lot of things.
Right. I think that peer pressure it's really based off of like the people that you hang around, you surround yourself with. I hang around like Zach and Damari and different people. But I really feel like we keep ourselves grounded. We know when to stop. We know when to tell each other, you know what I'm saying, bro, just chill out, you know what I'm saying? So I think peer pressure is all about who you hang around and how strong-minded you are. I think when you go to college, you definitely got to remember where you came from, your roots, because college is an animal of itself.
Right.
So
backing off of what Chris said, I think you definitely got to know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is very, I think, what did you say in the question? You were like, does it affect school or whatever?
No, I said other pressures to be involved with drinking, drug abuse, sex negatively impact black males' progress in schools. So yes, you are right. I did mention about school.
So yeah, I think in some instances it does. Like I know my mom. I'm not trying to like sound whatever, but my mom, she sees at Reebok, and she frequently tells me how like some students, they might fall into the wrong circles or to the wrong crowds and be influenced to do stuff that derail their academic track.
Right.
And like I know an old friend of mine, like he just got this girl pregnant. I know that might be a little too much, but
it's real. It's real.
Yeah. Right. But and it's like we grew up in church together.
Right.
And then it's never been we always been cool, whatever. And it's like he may have been pressured. He might have just wanted to do what he do, right. But he might have been pressured to have sex, like at an earlier age, because this was like maybe freshman year he got his girl pregnant. So he might have been pressured to have sex early, because that's very prevalent among black men. It's like lose your virginity by a certain age and like do this by this,
Yes,
but like you will get clowned. That's in some instances.
That's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that.
It is a whole nother one.
It's a different whole nother conversation. So, how important is faith in your spirituality?
Faith and my spirituality is everything. A lot of times I find myself, praying a lot throughout the day and whatnot, just about little small things. And even coming here, I was like, God, just speak through me, type of thing. Because at the end of the day, we can achieve all these different accolades and things like that, but I feel as if you're not living for God, then what you're doing. But I think that it also affects a lot of the decisions that I make, my faith background, growing up in the church and things like that. And, knowing that, the world is going to test you and whatnot, and also knowing how to react to it.
Yeah. I think for me, faith is essential. Like, I know for sure, me personally, I wouldn't have gotten through like personal struggles that I've gotten through without my faith at all. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like my faith keeps me going, keeps me alive, keeps me driving. So.
Right. I think faith is essential as well. I think like even if you're going through something that you might not feel like you can, make it through. I think with faith, regardless of how hard it is, you'll always make it through with God. You just gotta, believe in Him and keep praying. It'll all work out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so how do you feel about mentoring? Is mentoring something that you recommend that a young black man should have?
Yes.
Or should be involved in? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. I think mentoring is very important. Growing up, I was kind of a bad kid in school, in middle school. But I joined different mentoring organizations, and I just learned from different black men. They taught me like how to have etiquette at a table, how to carry myself as a man. Just like small things of like you don't have to be hard. You can be your own. You can be your own person as a black man. I think mentoring can shape the way the youth see themselves and how they can carry themselves in the future. So,
I think that mentoring is very important. I was fortunate enough to grow up with mentors, in the schools, school teachers, church, even, people older than me type of thing, just kind of reaching back, making sure that I was straight in a lot of different regards. And, going to FAMU, Chris and I got involved with the FAMU chapter, the powerhouse chapter of Collegiate 100 Seas Up. And, we're big on mentoring the youth in the Tallahassee area, whether it be social, emotional, physical, or, emotional needs. And so I think a lot of times it starts when you're young.
Right.
So I think that sometimes people feel as if it can be too late to, reach back, or, a lot of times I know some people in school that they think that they were too far gone at a certain point, and that, they were shocked that they even made it to school.
Right.
But I think that's important to, tell the youth that, you can never be too far gone, that you can't come back and, do what's right and things like that. And I think that it starts that if we can really start mentoring at a younger age and, setting a foundation that, you won't run into those situations anymore.
Yeah. I definitely think like that, but like both of them said, it's really needed. Me personally, I don't really have a lot of like mentors or whatever, growing up. So I kind of had to like, find out, on my own and kind of build myself on my own. But I think it definitely would have been easier for me if I would have had some mentors in my life at a young age. But also recently, me and Chris, we joined Omega Lamplighters. And I think having those older brother figures, I think those definitely have, nurtured me and kind of just, molded me into a better man. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good ones. Okay. Let's see. Now this one is another heavy one. What is your opinion, or what in your opinion are the strengths and weaknesses of Black Americans?
You can say that one more time.
What, in your opinion, are the strengths and the weaknesses of Black Americans?
I think a lot of our strengths when it comes to Black America is that we're very passionate about making things, about wanting to make things change. And so I think that that's really big, that, the youth, we're trying to change the narrative and, empower ourselves and, change the way that we're really looked at, change people's perspectives and things of that nature. Now, one of the weaknesses, I think, is the fact that we need to be more consistent, because I know that they said Black Lives Matter isn't a hashtag, and unfortunately, a lot of times I feel like we have so much fuel and so much power at first, and then all of a sudden it dies out, and it does not need to die out.
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely one of our strengths is our resilience.
Yeah.
And you can trace that back to our ancestors, of course.
Amen.
But I think even our resilience now, in this process. But I think also one of our weaknesses is I mentioned earlier, with the whole J. Cole situation, is that I think we feel like we have to agree with everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we still have that common goal, but there are many different ways to get there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's protesting, whether it's protest art, whether it's doing podcasts like this, spreading awareness, etc.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think our strength is I would say our determination and resolve. I think for years, for centuries, we've actually had a lot of determination. We fight for everything that we have to get. But I think that one of our weaknesses is that we lack unity. I think that it's sometimes it's a divide between Black men and Black women. I think that if we could come together as a whole, it would be even stronger, way greater than we could even imagine. I think that unity is very important in us bringing back Black power, becoming essential role models in our own communities.
This is off cuff. Why do you feel like there's no unity in when it comes to the African American community?
I feel like that's a hard question. I feel like we have unity, but I feel like in times we can feel like that's a great one. Okay, I think that colorism is very important. I think that's really why we don't have true unity, because we kind of try to differentiate light skin, dark skin, brown skin. If we all look at each other as a Black people, I think that we could truly have great unity.
And I also think the fact that, unfortunately, we look down on each other a lot of times, when it comes down to, okay, oh yeah, he not clean, he don't got on the J's, he don't got on a clean fit,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
looking crazy, you know.
Mhm.
So we gonna discredit that man. He's nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no need for that.
Right.
So it's like that class battle.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a class battle.
Yeah. And it was funny because I actually, I've been around my, I call her my cousin sister. She really my cousin. Shouts out to Jasmine, but she's mixed. And I was like, I want to talk to her, like, and see how she feels in regards to like being mixed. I can just imagine like the people that are mixed,
Oh yeah, right.
like the place that they're in right now with all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yes, sir.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask that question because Christina
Yeah.
Curry already know. She already know how I get down on that.
Yes, I think. Well, and that goes to the conversation that I had about J. Cole's message in his music. We as black women and black men, even on your level, when you talk about just relationships,
Mhm.
you know, we need to have conversation.
Yeah.
We need to have conversation. We're not going to agree upon everything, but we have to at least have respect for each other and know that I'm coming from one place, you're coming from another place, and we have to be able to respect the fact that I have an opinion, I feel a certain way, and not downgrade someone because they may not have experienced college,
Right.
Right.
or
True.
they may not have the funds to buy the newest shirts or whatever it is. You know, we have to we have to look past that and say, okay, now what can we do as a community to come together so that our children can get the best education,
Right.
or that our children can be aware of their history. You know, I mean, I think that, and then of course, you know, the whole relationship topic is a whole nother conversation, but we have to like at least be able to, you should be able to express yourself. If you and I were in, well, not you and I, but if you were in a relationship with a young
Yes,
lady,
ma'am.
you have to be able to express yourself,
Right.
and she has to be able to express herself, and not feel like, well, every time I say something, you're not hearing me. You know,
Right.
you're not hearing what I'm saying, and then you know she's saying what she's saying, but he may not be hearing her. So I think,
ma'am.
you know, in terms of that, we have a lot to work on.
We do.
We have a lot to work on with that. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Getting back to these questions here. What gives you hope? And this is just in general. What gives you hope?
I think for me, what gives me hope is that, especially like through my art, through my creative vision or whatever, I think that like, I have plans for the future, and I guess like just knowing that the content that I will put out will inspire or will give, or will shed light on something like, cultural appropriation or just, other black issues or whatever. Or, just showcasing our beauty. I feel like I get hope from, doing that and, having the platform and opportunity to, show that. So.
I think what gives me hope is the like Zach said before, the spurts of unity that we brought together in the protest. We came together hugely in our communities. I think that if we could like keep that going continuously over a long period of time, I think hope and change would definitely come.
What gives me hope in regards to like the things going on right now in the world is the fact that I have a few white friends that have kind of hit my line and was like, man, could you please explain to me what's going on? Because unfortunately, them has gotten in the way. So, but they have a desire to learn.
Right.
So, I think that's big.
Yeah.
Is that they have the desire to learn, which means that that's kind of gonna plant a seed. So, for generations to come, we have the opportunity to plant a seed in somebody right now, and they can pass that on to their
Right.
kids, and then so on and so forth. So maybe generations down the line, we're not talking about something like this again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's that's good. I think that a lot of times they reach out because they may not know, but then again, it's easily information they can find online.
True.
And I'm not
Yeah, that's
saying
true.
to say,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, just tell them to go to Google, but a lot of the understanding, yes, they need to hear your perspective. They
Right.
need to hear how you're feeling in all of this. But at the same time, we all need to do some research about what has happened in the past to see. Like the situation with the gator baits, the chant for the gators. They're changing that, and I haven't even looked on News4Jax or the other stations because online on their Facebook pages, because I know that the comments will be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the history of the gator bait and how they would feed gator little black children, they would put them in there as if they would be gator bait. So I mean that alone is just horrible. And some people I mean didn't know that history, and that's okay if you didn't know. You know it now. So even knowing that, it's still like, well, it's just a chant. Why can't we do it? You know, and then with all of the Confederate statues that are being brought down, and now they're doing the school change, the name change of the schools. You know, people are really upset about that. But it's like, if you can't get past that, if that is your concern, or if that is what you're upset about, then we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more that's beneath all of that that we have to really get into.
Yes, ma'am.
You gonna say something?
Just the hope aspect of it. I think I guess I'm asking myself. For me, it's like y'all have the tools. Y'all have like more tools to give to, you know what I'm saying, the people up under you guys. And it's like it kind of goes, the tools that like my parents had, my grandparents had, it was limited. But I feel like I always joke off and say, because I came out of school in 97, so I was like, I feel like 1997 was like that line where we were still able to know how to wash our own clothes, like hand wash our clothes, but at the same time too, we had washer and dryers, like, but so I felt like our generation, and you know, I felt like we were able to handle both ends of it. We're able to understand like our parents' side, but at the same time too, we're quick to understand, you know, y'all side. Right. So I think that makes us like more of a resource to y'all, which makes it like a double resource for y'all. That's how I kind of look at it or whatever. So I think that's the hope that I give, and it's cool to see like all three of y'all. I mean, y'all are like talking like, you know what I'm saying, like intelligent. Like you guys are like very powerful in your words, and just how y'all walk in and y'all presence and whatnot. So that's a major plus. You know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, me and my friends, we did it, but we probably did it for the wrong reasons, you know, but other things. But we wasn't as like as militant and like tapped in and formed like that.
I piggyback on what you're saying. The hope that I have, what gives me hope, I know I was asking you guys a question, but the fact that that you know, I see you all and how education is important to, you know, to your careers and your futures, and I see how you are willing to open your hands and arms to other people, just because they may not be as cool as you guys or whatever, you know, you're like, okay, fine, let's figure out how we're going to do this all together. And that you strategize and you think about stuff like that, and you're willing to say, let me go back into the community and help this young man that may not have somebody at home or may not, you know, have a positive view. That's important, because that's the only way we're going to be able to like stay together or bring each other up. So if you go back and say, okay, I need to help out these kids because they may not have seen what I saw.
Yes, right.
They may not have seen those. You guys went to some pretty good schools academically, so I mean, you have to. That's the hope that I have. That I see this, and I know that there are some struggles that you have just in general of just being a young man, being and figuring out what you want to do in your careers. But the fact that you can stay grounded in the Lord, you know, and to also know that you have different things that you can do in your future, art, you're doing business, physical therapy, I mean, and to realize, okay, we need those type of people back into our community. So when you graduate, you can say, okay, I'm going back, you know, and give the way that the way that people gave to you. So I definitely have hope. Definitely have hope. Okay, so let's see. Here's a home stretch. You're at your home stretch. Okay, so I have two more questions actually. One question. The question is, if you could name one person, and I'm going to say one person for each of you, who would you consider as a leader in the Black community?
We talking national or like local?
However you want to look at it. I mean, it doesn't have to be. There's no right or wrong answers.
Yeah. I mean, this was a hard one for me because we was talking about it earlier.
Right.
But you know, in the current situation we are now, we don't have our MLKs or our Malcolm X. Like, we don't have that in this generation. You know what I'm saying? We don't have like certain Black leaders. We don't, like Chris said, we don't have our Huey P's. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, it's and there's people out there who are doing it, but it's like they don't get the same maybe attention or, you know, not, I don't want to say clout, but I mean, clout.
Right.
But yeah.
So I think that one person that's an example that came to mind, when Larry was talking, you know, kind of honing in on, you know, something local and things like that is FAMU alumni Representative Ramon Alexander.
Okay.
And, you know, he's someone that kind of invested in me and, you know, with knowledge and whatnot, kind of talking to me and things of that nature, you know, getting to go to FAMU Day at the Capitol and speaking to the different legislators and, you know, really seeing firsthand how a lot of times they really aren't worried about things going on at FAMU, which, you know, in turns makes me think about what's going on. They're not worried about things going on in our communities and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's done a good job at kind of spotlighting and bringing attention to the fact that something needs to change and something has got to give.
Okay. I think a leader could possibly be Benjamin Crump. I think that he takes action in a lot of these cases when black people are faced with injustice. I think that his leadership role is more at a protective state as a lawyer. He can't really be on the front lines, you know, doing what MLK Malcolm X did.
Right.
He has to be in the courtroom, you know, doing different things like that. So
That's good.
yeah.
So that's a hard question because, like you said, we have people that are doing things in different places, and you guys named a few earlier. But in terms of like someone nationally to say, okay, this person, we see this person and we know that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., you know, we know what they stood for. We know that they represented, you know, the Black Americans. So that's a good question. Good something to think about. Something to research also.
Yeah.
True.
And my last question is obviously music related. What is your go-to music when you want to relax? No wrong, right or wrong
I can
answer.
really go first. For me, really, I like R&B. I listen. I go right to Brent. I go to Daniel Caesar, Frank Ocean, Brent Fayez, Daniel Caesar, Frank Ocean. I think that their music is very calming. It's soothing. You can do your homework to it. You know, something sweet, simple.
Yeah, I think for me, it depends on how relaxed I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to be just like some, you know, in it, I'll listen to like some Sade or whatever. But you know, sometimes I might listen to, you know, SOS Band or you know, some other stuff like that.
Nephew, this is after.
But you know, it honestly depends. You know, it can go from the Rebby Jacksons to the like Griselda. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Hey, put that camera over. Put that camera over.
Shoot. I think when I try to relax, I like listening to instrumentals and things like that because it kind of gives me the chance to, you know, kind of think and kind of get into my mental. But then again, I also like listening to, you know, J. Cole and Kendrick. Let's see, No Name, Chance the Rapper. You know, people like that. A lot of these people, I don't feel like they're just rapping for entertainment a lot of times, but you know, they're trying to put out a message. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having your guilty pleasures or your music that you want to thump when you're in the car. So I just wondered, like, what was your go-tos? Well, I think that is all that I have. That concludes my questions.
Indeed. It was definitely great. So, round of applause for ChristinaCurates for being put on the spot.
Yes.
And shouts out to the brothers, Zach, Chris, Ashy, Artt. Hey, do your socials. Before we leave, because I will forget that for sure.
Okay. OG.Spiff on Instagram, on Twitter. That guy Chris, 2 U's in guy.
My Instagram, Twitter, everything is at Ashy Artt. Ashy like knees and then ARTT.
You can find me on Instagram at OG.Zach_, on Twitter at OG_Zach, ZAC, 2 H's. And then another page is My Black Voice Matters. It's an upcoming digital media and podcast channel coming soon.
Coming soon. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry,
No. Oh yeah, you too. Yeah.
Well, ChristinaCurates. I have on Sunday evening on the Sound of Duval. I have a mix that I've put together, mixed by Mr. Pete. and it's just a mellow vibe. I have introduced it to my son and my nephew, which is my big supporters. So that's me.
Indeed, and we have MOA Visuals running the camera, so shouts out to him for doing that. That was a commercial that you saw at the beginning, man. Listen, we on our media network action over here, so
And thank you to you for this
thank
platform.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
right.
for
oh
having
man,
us.
listen. Anytime y'all want to jump on, look, we can do it here. We can call on the phone or whatnot. If you got something that you really want to get off your chest or just want to talk to people about, like, please feel free to like use this platform or whatnot. We cut these mics on and just have a dialogue. Or if you got something you got coming up, or you want to like, share a funny joke in hopes that I will laugh. I mean, whatever. Nevertheless, feel free anytime to like come on this platform. Any questions, comments, concerns, whatever you got. Definitely hit me up. I know ChristinaCurates has already extended that with her, but I want to extend it as well from me, Al, Peter, the MPN family and whatnot.
And also thank you to Hendrix Monet for the actual title.
The skin I'm in. I think
Awesome.
I thought that was pretty dope. I mean, quick story on that, man. She was doing her show. And I was like, we need a title so I can do the flyer or whatever. And she gave me one title, and then the second title was The Skin I'm In. And I was like, wow, that's pretty dope, man. It just really kind of polished, kind of straight up and whatnot. And then I was like, well, we should just do a series of these. So I was like, yo, you mind if I, get that name or whatever? So that's why we kind of branded it now. So definitely shouts out to Hendrix Monet on that. I definitely want to, like, big her up for that because that's a powerful name coming from a powerful woman, and all that stuff. So everybody, you got anything else y'all want to share or whatever? It was great, man. It was a great conversation.
Definitely
Great conversation. So to my people who's at in the MPN network, Clear Visions podcast, Mr. Allen, this will be on audio format within a couple of days. We'll have the video attached to it. Please make sure you're following mpn-llc.com for all the good works of the podcast network and all the content that we got going on in Duval County and the surrounding areas. And all my neighbors and my groovers, all that stuff goes on that site. So thank y'all so much. We are out of here, man, in the old Negro spirits of Wayne Peterson. To the top.
All right, y'all.